Yeah, it's gone live. So they've got me pulling the face again at the beginning. So hi, welcome to the IBD Ostomy Support Show. I'm Louise, aka Crohn's Fighting. Rachel just had to drop off. She will be coming back on, but yeah, she's just had to drop off because her laptop frozen. So apologies if you hear any cussing as she signs back in, because I think she's a little bit irate with the laptop. So don't swear, Rachel, if you can hear us.
Yeah, you're back on. You're back on.
She's back on and she's back. So I think we're just waiting for people. There's no viewers on at the moment. So I will continue to drink my cup of tea whilst we're waiting for people to go on. Oh, there's one viewer.
No, that's me.
Is that you?
No, it's
so,
not me.
Yeah, so for those that have just signed on, so good evening. Welcome to the IBD Ostomy Support Show. There's going to be a slight change in the show lineup, and that being due to work commitments with all of us. We are going to be dropping the show down to twice a month, so we will be doing every other Thursday. Apologies for that, but due to workloads, commitments, hospital appointments, and just life in general, we are incredibly busy. And we can't do every Thursday because we're burning ourselves out. We've all had surgery. We've all been in hospital. And it's not that we don't like doing the show. It's just been one of those last things that's on the agenda recently, if we'd be perfectly honest, guys, hasn't it? We love doing the show, but with work commitments, hospital, health and everything else, it's just been it's just sort of dropped down the agenda. And obviously through risk and, through the risk of repeating things and covering topics that we've already covered, it might get a bit tedious and boring for those that have been following us from the beginning. So tonight we are covering...
what are you moaning at now, girl?
I can't get the comments to come up.
Don't worry about the comments.
I'm sorry, I'm having issues with my laptop, big time.
Well, say good evening to Lynn, because Lynn signed in, and hi to Graham, because he's in hospital for his treatment tomorrow.
Hi, Graham. Hi, Lynn.
So tonight we are covering the January blues and depression, which I think, to be honest, is something that's quite close to all of our hearts at the moment, because I don't think mentally that we've all been on top game or top form, shall we say. I think January is a difficult month anyway. So what have I been up to? Well, I might have spent half an hour cuddling puppy cockapoos down at Jolly's pet store today, because they had
what?
Cockapoos, puppies.
The hell's a cockapoo?
Cockapoo, it's a cross between a poodle and a cocker spaniel, and they are absolutely mental. But no, they've some very cute puppy cuddles, because that's taken. They had the microchipping clinic down there. Now, even though Rufio is currently an indoor kitty, at some point he will be an outdoor kitty when we move. So we had to go and have him microchipped, and I couldn't help myself. Ben was going to me, well, whose name shall we do it under? So he's now Rufio Potter. And he's currently not talking to me because he had a little bit of an anxiety moment and peed himself in the cat carrier and had to have a bath.
I thought it was all about Ben then.
No, that was the cat, not Ben.
Oh my God, so, what have you done to him?
Rufio peed himself in the cat box and had a little bit of a stage fright moment, so I had to bath him and then swaddle him and dry him. I only got one scratch, so that's pretty good considering. What else have I been up to? For anyone watching, if you're in Swansea next month, I'm there at Liberty Stadium doing a presentation on behalf of Pelican and Morriston Hospital, which is an open day event. So anybody near Wales, if you want to come and join us. It'd be lovely to see you all. What else have I been up to? I've just been working. January is just generally a busy month for me. I do my blogging stuff, but then I've got my accountancy stuff and Maisie social life and birthdays. And I went out last weekend. First drink I've had since my surgery. I might have been a little bit under the weather on Sunday, but I was functioning. I went out and did the food shopping. Went and got myself a Scotch egg from the farmer's food market. And my mum had a good 52nd birthday, so that was all grand and dandy. Apart from I was looking after her because all of her mates are banned and everyone at 11 o'clock, and I was like, great, I'm stuck here for the duration. I was gonna try and get out first, but it didn't happen. What else am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm off to Bruges at the end of this month.
Very nice.
And yeah, I'd also like to say a big thank you to everyone. Recently, I think some people wondered what the hell I actually stick up on my Crohn's fighting pages. So I did one about the weirdest, most strangest stoma empties. So mine was into a bin in Bath, and I discovered that rats do actually live in bins and did not appreciate the warm bath. But I am absolutely amazed by the comments. I think in the end it's reached over 10,000 people, and I think there's been like nearly 1,000 comments.
Wow.
From people across the groups as to where the strangest place they've emptied their stoma bag. But I think the winner was pre-stoma bag was Colitis Clock on Twitter at crime scene, and them coming back and asking him why they'd found his blood at the crime scene. A couple of weeks later. So yeah, that's about it for me. There's not really much else to report. Yeah, other than I don't think my cat's going to talk to me for the next week, but hi, life goes on. I'll pass you over to Rachel.
Come on, Rachel.
No, sorry, I'm trying to multitask. I really shouldn't. It's all right. The diary's gone away because realising how much I was just highlighting. Sorry, while I remembered something. Okay, what have I been up to? I have been very busy. I've got loads of public speaking things coming up, like ridiculous a lot. But I'm looking forward to them. I work closely with Bournemouth Hospital, and the director there. We're doing like a massive talk. Both of us together, we're holding a session on one evening in February. So if anybody's in Bournemouth and fancies coming along to Bournemouth University, the 11th of February, we're doing a talk. We're holding a session about our patient partnership and actually how much we've accomplished. And we've accomplished a lot, and I'm really proud of our partnership. It's never been done before in Bournemouth. And like I was involved in an interview panel, like interviewing for director of surgery, and that's never been. And I actually led the carousel session. That's never been done before. Patients never been on a panel, so I'm excited. We're now involving patients more in co-production and starting with myself, and hopefully moving out to other patients that are also have these opportunities. So yeah, that's a positive. So I've got loads of stuff coming up with Bournemouth. I run social media for Academy of Fab stuff, so I've got loads of stuff coming up with that as well, and some more. I'm in London quite a lot. I think nearly every month now. And yeah, I've just been quite busy. I've tried to recommit to my like self development stuff, and like kind of recommitting to a certain thing to kind of make myself feel better, and I do feel better. But I had a massive appointment today, which I hardly told many people. It was my neurology appointment, and as my neurology appointments go, they're never really positive news, because so when I was last in London in UCLH, they said like there's no cure, you won't live past 30, and that was to do with my rare condition, the acute autonomic failure. Well, actually I have lived past 30 because I'm 32, but today I got back to neurology, and because they're worried about the sepsis and the infections I'm getting and how long my body's going to cope with the kidneys and all that, it's now been told that the consultant wants to do more further testing to see how severe the failure is and the autonomic failure is, which isn't nothing new. It's more tests, but I very much like being in denial. And ironically, I run a blog, I talk about my ill health, but actually around the severity of it, and especially the pure autonomic failure, because nobody knows much about my rare disease. I don't talk about it much. So you guys talk about IBD all the time. I don't talk about my rare disease because ultimately I was never really taught much about it. It was like, this is it, there's no cure, this is it, nobody knows much about it, that was it. Like that was kind of it. There isn't really anything else. And now sort of I got to go to the autonomic failure unit, and I got to like have more tests, which apparently there is one in Bournemouth now, which is great. It's just I think I like being in that place where I'm in denial, the head is in the sands, and I just carry on doing like all the crazy work I do. And now I'm trying to get in touch with kind of find a middle somehow, which I find quite difficult, because as Steve will tell you, I can be very frustrating. And
no,
tell you
never.
But you don't say.
No, but it's difficult though, isn't it? I mean, you kind of, like you said, you bury yourself in work, almost like there's nothing wrong with you. You know what I mean? And But it catches up with you every now and again, doesn't it? And reminds you that it's still there.
It catches me up again, and I end up in hospital, and this is it. And it's like, and before I used to see it as a break, and I used to make a joke out of it. Yeah, I had 3 admissions last year, which is so much better because the year before I had 6, the year before that I was 8 months in hospital.
It is last year you didn't have time to be in hospital. You was that bloody busy, did you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'm realizing that I'm really proud of what I've built, in the fact of like coming from absolutely hating, not liking my stomas, learning to accept them, being in victim mentality, then now start like paving a career type thing now, and doing a blog and helping people, supporting people. But actually, I'm trying to now. It's kind of trying to balance it better, because ultimately I want to keep going, and I don't know, my body, like I've lost quite a lot of weight recently, and this is things that aren't quite, my kidneys aren't great at the moment, and I don't honor my health, and I need to honor my health, because it's ironic that what I do, and I don't, and yet I can be in denial sometimes, and so that's like a constant struggle for me, and a constant thing I got better with.
I wouldn't say you're in denial because of what you do. The amount of awareness that you raise, everything that you do, that's not a person that is in denial. I just think your coping mechanism is to throw yourself into what you're doing.
Absolutely.
I think that is, it's not that you're in denial, Rach. At the end of the day, you know the ins and outs of what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
You
thing
do,
is,
and
you
you
could
do
ask
so
Rachel
much.
how is she? And like we've all done it. Yeah, I'm fine. But it's different if you're talking to someone that you know, and they say they're fine, and you know that they're lying. You know what I mean? It's so there's a certain amount of denial there. You're both right, actually, in that respect. But Rachel does bury herself in work, and it is a coping mechanism without a shadow of a doubt. You know, and she's busy all the time, aren't you, girl?
And it's knackering. I do feel I've balanced it this time, and I'm trying to do more with the self-help stuff. But yeah, it's a constant. Like I never thought, if you told me 3 years ago when I had my urostomy and bladder removed, if you said, Rachel, do you know what, you will have a kind of career in being ill and having, I thought, yeah, right, whatever, I can never work again. Actually, like, okay, a lot of my work is voluntary, a lot of my work is unpaid, but I really enjoy what I've done. But in that does come pressures, like, will my body be okay? Will I be able to travel to this? Will I be able to do this public speaking thing? Blah, 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 blah. It does come pressures, but I'm happy where I am, because when I was, you guys won't want to know me when I was poor Rachel. I was awful, like really bad. Like I felt really sorry for myself, and I'm not that girl anymore, and I'm proud of that. But I am trying to sort of not, be nice. Sorry, I've been talking on. Right?
No,
that's
what it's all about.
You got the time now, innit?
Anyway, bye.
Anyway, if we go to Steve, what have you been up to?
What have I've done? Nothing at all. Hi, I'm Steve, aka
Ginger Beard.
Hashtag Daddy of the Bag. Ginger Beard.
Ginger Beard.
Growing my beard out now.
Bearded Brummy. Hashtag Bearded Brummy.
Hashtag Bearded Brummy. What have I been doing? I've been burying myself into my cardio. I'll be going every day for an hour in the morning, and doing an hour every day of cardio. I've been feeling really, really good. It's really perked up my state of mind, no end. Trying to get myself into a position where I'm tired on the nights. I seem to become wide awake about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm thinking,
my brain plays that game.
I think to myself, go on, have a game of pool. Have a game of pool on your phone. And of course, there's always loads of people to play pool with at that time of the morning.
I thought you said porn.
No. Have a game of porn. I've completed it.
What, the pool or the pool?
Yeah, so then they've got a high score and a time extension.
Yeah, but what are you potting with the porn?
Anyway, what have I been doing?
I think we might go red.
It's how come it comes to me and suddenly the tone gets dropped? Like,
because it's you.
Well, I've arranged another concert to go to in a couple of weeks' time. And, I've arranged a bearded Brummy meet in about a month's time.
Well, you haven't arranged it.
Well, I'm part of it now because I've got the beard to go with. I wouldn't have turned up with the measly beard that I had before. It'd have been embarrassing. I'd have waited outside. But and I'm going on a shoot tomorrow, but I'll tell you more about that next time. No, not tomorrow.
On a shoot.
Tuesday, yeah.
Oh yeah, wait until you hear this after the show.
I'll tell you about it after the show.
Oh, cool.
A 4-hour shoot.
Oh,
so and really, I've been kind of like, I don't know, trying to get my mind right, because it hasn't been right for a few months now since my op, and just literally doing things for myself to make me feel better. And I've been visiting a lot of my friends, just I don't know, just doing things for me and making myself feel better. Still struggling with the sleeping, and my tummy's completely healed now. There's a tiny little scab that I keep picking.
Don't pick.
I'm a terrible, but it's telling me, go on, pick it. I'll be starting up my Humira within the next week or so.
How's your hips?
My hips have been really good, touch wood. I've been running, you know, I could never run before, but I can't really do any core work at the gym. And my left bicep, I can't do curls, so because, you know, that's the ligament's torn. So I've been sort of concentrating on the cardio, but really enjoying it. You know, when you go through that wall, that pain barrier, and you just sort of push through it.
Yeah.
That's been kind of like part of my therapy now. I really enjoy it. I don't feel right if I don't go. And that, I think, has been me. And my lad's just come down for it. My oldest lad's just come down for a dinner. He's had quite one of his friends committed suicide not so long back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. And so it's been really.
Well, his housemate.
I'm not sure whether it was his house. It's a close friend.
Oh, bless him.
It's a female, like, but it's hit him hard. You know, mental health. They don't want to touch you once you've passed 18. They're trying to get a team in place. You know, unless you're paying private, you'll wait a couple of years to get to see people. But obviously, she's been in a really bad way, and it's kind of hit him hard. I think he's doing things himself now to sort of bring himself out of it. But you know, it's not nice, is it? Especially at that sort of tender age, really. You know,
no.
How do you sort of how do you cope with? You know, there's no rules, is there?
I remember a girl a year above me committed suicide. I was in year 9, she was year 10. It affected everybody, even people who knew her, but everybody, because it's a really like reminder of actually how people like Robin Williams, you know, look okay on the outside, and like you don't know what people are battling on the inside.
Yeah, it's
behind
right.
the smile and all that, and it's you are right, but the down here, the kind of the mental health down here is really poor, like especially when it's kind of the children trans go into adult. There isn't much support from like children's services. It's called CAMS down here until
it's called
adult.
CAMS down here as well. Yeah,
is it? Yeah, from CAMS to like adult, there isn't much support.
Yeah, it's like I've been on this with my school. They're doing a reunion, and I've been added to this, and I was talking to a few people that I know, and a few people that I never ever remembered ever being in school with. But then you find out a few people that have died along the way, and you're thinking, wow, you just, you know, everyone's got a story, and I do want to meet with some, just to have a chat with, you know, a few people and find out what happened in their lives and stuff, you know. Although half of them I don't really particularly never got along with at school, so there's not going to be no difference now. I've noticed that I'm quite handsome compared to some of them now.
Aged gracefully.
Absolutely, like a fine wine. Don't say cheese.
Cheese.
And that's pretty much me. I think I'm back to work end of February, and so I'm just kind of getting fit so that I'll go back and I'll be able to last the days. Although I'll be on staggered. What's it called now?
Staggered phased return to work.
Phased return, that's the one. Yeah.
Staggered return.
Phased.
It's phased.
Steve's new word.
Staggered.
Staggered return.
It's
I've renamed it staggered return. doing him. He'll probably make out of cardboard a little like stagger.
So what would the subject be tonight?
Hang on, sorry, 2 seconds. I've just posted in the group chat. I'm doing the Purple Wings charity calendar shoot at the end of March. So I've just put the shameless sponsor link in the chat. So if anybody would like to sponsor me and put back into Purple Wings, who do provide grants for people to get their confidence back and perhaps to help with their state of mind and everything else after surgery, that would be great. But no, tonight is the January blues and depression, but it's not just depression, but obviously covering things like anxiety, PTSD, and just in general mental health.
The black dog, isn't it?
What, PTSD?
No, the depression. And have you not seen the that sort of thing online? The little black dog.
Yeah. No? I think I recall seeing it briefly, but the thing is I see so much stuff about mental health, but it's not generally discussed about, is it? And to be honest, normally when people are posting about mental health, especially in some of the groups recently, it's just been a free for all really for everybody not really understanding it. I think would be the typical queen of phrase, because I don't think mental health is understood. It's the same as an invisible illness. You can't see it, so therefore it's not real, but it's very real.
Well, people don't, most of the time, until you're at the very brink, people don't really want to mention it or talk about it until you're, you've kind of like really need help. Trying to get out of someone who's struggling, what is wrong is hard enough, and then once you're at point blank where you're at ground level, there's only one way you can go really, and that's sort of, you've just got to build upon it, haven't you? Got to ask for help.
Well, it's like the January blues. The January blues is actually a real thing. And it's like with the January blues, they say I read a load of literature on it because I wrote a blog post about it, but they say that the January blues, the reason why people get the January blues is the lead up to Christmas and New Year, everything's so exciting, but you spend a lot of time with people that you wouldn't usually spend time with. Now, we all love our families, but if we're being honest about it, most of us spend more time with our work colleagues and our friends than we do seeing extended family members. Now, if you're going for, 3 days of family festivities, so one at your nan's, one at your mum's, one at, the other side of the families, there's always so much pressure on having that perfect Christmas and having that perfect occasion and nothing going wrong or saying anything out of place. But you spend a lot of time comparing yourself to others and what they have achieved versus what you have achieved for the year. So say, let's just put this into retrospect. So me and Ben both work, we both earn money. Now we're on good money, but then if you put it into perspective, my brothers do manual jobs, they're not well paid, they've got children, they have bills to pay. So for things like Christmas, we have a price limit. Now I know that they can't afford above, say, £35 per child, and we don't do the adults because it's not fair to put that pressure on them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, but then
absolutely.
you've got other people that obviously don't have those price limits in place, so they go and spend all this money on a present, and you're only giving them something, say like the equivalent of Secret Santa, because you can't afford it. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, well, it's the thought that counts," but sometimes in this day and age, it's not the thought that counts; it's what you've given. And if you're left feeling inadequate after that, that is pretty much what the January blues are all about. You're in a funk, you're wondering what you've done with your life for the last year, you're wondering what you're going to do with your life for the next year, and you're always constantly in that phase of comparing yourself to other people. Why are they doing better? Why am I not doing better? That is what the January blues is. Now, the January blues is something that could possibly lead to other mental health issues if you don't snap out of it, or as somebody says, "Oh, just snap out of it." You don't just snap out of things, and it's like it's the same with mental health. So it's the things like PTSD. So, and somebody says to you, "Oh, but you've been for CBT. Why not take medication?" Not everybody with mental health wants to take medication. If you're suicidal and things like that, then fair enough. I think you should be taking medication to help you, because that's not good. But with things like other health issues and anxiety, there's other ways of dealing with it. And I think not everybody wants to spend their life on the drug train.
But some people do. I think we just need to acknowledge that, although I agree, Louise, like I came off antidepressants and I trying to stay off them, but I think some people do need that support.
This is what I mean, though. There's not enough out there, and everything is just, oh, let's just throw something at it or just not acknowledge it. There's no in between.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there are techniques and things that can work alongside or done first, and then I get what you're saying.
Totally.
Oh, bless. I don't mean to say, oh, shouldn't be on medication, but what I mean to say is there's no help out there. So say there's somebody that's going into, say, the doctor's surgery. There's one that has suicidal depression, wants to end everything, and then you've got somebody with depression that's got anxiety. So their depression is all linked with their anxiety. Their first answer for everything before they get anybody counselling, like Steve was saying, with mental health and trying to get an appointment, and it takes up to 3 years before you can see somebody, their answer is to give these people medication but not deal with the root causes, I think, to some certain aspects. And I just think it's very, very difficult. I don't think mental health in its general whole is broached seriously. It's just, I don't know, I just feel like it's just somebody the doctors just throw tablets at it and tell you to get on with it.
But yeah, and I agree, because like people that I know who have that, the first point of call has been tablets. But if I think of my mum, I'm hoping she's not watching. Actually, no, I won't say that. But it's like, I think for some people, like I think my mum needed that and needs that. I think if she got off that, she would be like not good, like at all. But I think, she has tried counselling and that before. But I think there are other techniques. I think you're right, Louise. I think there is a society now that tends to kind of throw tablets at. But sometimes, and I don't know if other people like to mention, but sometimes you need that little crutch just to help get over that bit. And sometimes that might be the right decision. Steve, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I kind of like I've been suffering quite a bit of depression since my op. And half of it is the imbalance of my I don't know, hormones in my brain. The fact of my op, the fact that I've got all this time in the world, whereas before I wasn't having enough time. I was going to work, I was coming home, I was eating, seeing my dad, and before you know it, it's night time. It's time for bed. Now I've got, you know, I can get up whatever time I want. I'm getting up now earlier so that I go to the gym. I'm forcing myself to do stuff to make me feel good. I needed that. You know, I went into the doctor's surgery and I said, look, I'm struggling. And before I got the word struggling out, I was in bits. I was crying all over the place like a baby. Couldn't keep myself together, you know. And then we spoke about, you know, CBT, about different methods, about apps on my phone that I could possibly use, about drugs, you know, and I decided then that I needed something more than the apps. You know, I'm going to use the apps as well, and they have been good. They've been good for my meditation and stuff, and it's definitely got me on an even keel. The first few weeks was horrific. You know, the sort of the horrible thoughts that I was having was horrible. I mean, I'd never experienced any sort of feelings like this, but now I can see the light now. And I realised that I'm not going to just rely on these tablets. You know, they tell you to have them for so amount of time until you've completely levelled off, and then you go from there. My stoma, I went to see my stoma nurse the other day to take my my valley cushion back, and I mentioned it to her, and she gave me this leaflet about some yoga, some free 6 weeks of free yoga lessons, which is what I'll be starting on. Birmingham Mind phoned me up today. I must have spent an hour and a half with this lady. I mean, she was quite slow talking, and I was kind of like, come on, I've got things to do now. But, you know, and she was like, she must have been as slow typing as I am. Like, yeah, but you know, we went through everything, and obviously I'm booked in now for sort of Monday to do my yoga, an hour of yoga every Monday, which is good for anxiety really and things like that.
That's great, Steve. That's really good.
You've got to take it into your own hands, yeah, but you've got to be a level mentally to be able to take it into your own hands.
And I think in your case, how you were, you needed that you needed the help.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
To be able to.
But the few weeks while I was taking the tablets, they said that, you know, these tablets may give you suicidal thoughts. Now, I've never had suicidal thoughts, but I found myself parked opposite a lake thinking, go on, just, you know, just drive it. And my mate said to me, it's a good job he didn't drive into there because it's only about 3 foot deep. It has ruined your car. So you got to take a little bit of humour from it, you know what I mean?
See, the thing is I think a lot of people that are watching this, especially Lynn's been through a lot with surgery and everything else, and I know she's had a lot going on in the background with family stuff and everything else. Now, I think when you have the surgery, the recovery, I think what people don't tell you, and I think this is why, like from a blogging perspective, that some of us do it for like after we've had the surgery done, but others leave it months. And the reason being is because you're not in the right frame of mind to do anything. When you have this type of surgery done, especially like what me and Steve have had done, and Rachel, what you've been through with both your refashions and your urostomy and everything else, the stress that surgery puts on your body, the recovery process is one of the hardest things you will ever go through in your life. Now, I'm not saying recovery is hard, but mentally, especially with the hormonal imbalance, weight loss, weight gain, not being able to eat properly, taking opiates, taking medications, blood thinners, not being able to get out and about, it really does impact your mental health. At the moment, I am still one hormonal bitch bag, and apologies for those that live with me. Apologies to Rachel that gets the brunt of my raging to my laughing.
You got me crying. I was crying on the phone to you the other day, so I think we equal it.
On
No, I found
WhatsApp.
really difficult as well. Sorry.
What?
No.
Was the moment, see, my first surgery sort of over 3 years ago, it was emergency. Now, I wasn't very well up to my surgery, the 2 years previous to my surgery. So it was kind of like a blessing when I had my surgery, but it was emergency. They took me in, they gave me meds, and then the next day I had my bowel removed. So I didn't have any time to really think about what was going to happen. This time, having that 6 months preparation and then moving the date back as well. I was a nightmare. I was a nightmare, and I wasn't a happy bunny at all. So I was petrified by the moment that I went in there, you know. So I really, you know, like when I come out of my original surgery, I was like, you wouldn't have recognised me. You thought, hang on, how come you're so happy on a Monday? People were like, what are you so cheerful about? Because I'm alive and I feel 10 years younger, you know. But this time, it was all a bit of an anticlimax.
Well, I think you felt worse when you, before you went in, you were like the wellest you've been. Like things were well, and you knew that it wasn't like you were going in really poorly like you did the first time.
No, that's right.
You were going in well, and then you knew that you had a recovery, and I think that was difficult for you because I forget that you haven't really had many surgeries. Like I've had loads, and I'm used
mentally.
I'm used to the cycle of it.
I
but
really
when you
struggled with the
haven't,
run up, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't cope at all. You know, like a swan, looking graceful, but underneath the surface, I was shitting myself quite.
Steve, I was exactly the same. And then when I wake up,
we've had these chats.
When I woke up on intensive care, I knew that my fears were freaking justified. Oh, do you know what I mean? But no, it's like at the moment, I'm not as bad. I'm getting better, but I've started implementing things like bedtime stories. So I use an app called Calm, and somebody reads you a bedtime story, and you do a breathing exercise as you're laying down, and you put your head on your pillow, and they're telling you to take in deep breaths, and there's a bit of trickling water in the background or a couple of crickets going off.
Make me want to wee, that would.
And then it goes into the story, and 9 times out of 10, unless it's Stephen Fry, I fall asleep. Don't put Stephen Fry on because I can't go to sleep. I just
I love him.
Send me that app.
I will. I'll get Ben to send it because it's on Ben's phone.
My sleep at the moment.
Sorry,
my sleep at the moment is really bad. So I've got into an awful habit here. I'm grassing myself up, listening to music on my headphones until like 2 or 3 in the morning, not able to sleep. So much going on here. Like it's got a little bit better, but I haven't really been able to sleep. And I think it's because I'm in quite a lot of pain with my kidney, and it's to do with that. I probably need to increase my tramadol, but I'm on 2 and I've stayed on 2 for a really long time. Don't really want to increase up to 1, but I think it's more to do with that. But I'm struggle to sleep, and I find that the distraction techniques I'm still doing, like listening to music till like 1, 2 in the morning, it's not good really, because I'm listening to music with my headphones on, and
if I can't and I'm really, really bad, I'll either get up and I'll walk about, I'll grab myself a hot chocolate, and then I'll get back into bed, and I just lay in bed, and I'm like, every time a thought pops into my mind, I go, clear your head, clear your head.
Well, I think we're all doing it. I do it with Lad Bible.
And I say that over and over and over and over again. Eventually it does get me to sleep, but the thing is then I'm not crashing out till 4 in the morning, and then I'm back up at 7, and it's just living a summer existence on sleep, lack of sleep.
It does. It's a big effect, isn't it? I find myself just trying to relax, and then listening to the clock ticking, and then I've got to move the clock now, and then I think, well, I'm wide awake. I might as well go to the gym. And I think, no, just try a bit more. And then I put my phone on and I watch a video on Lad Bible, and then I watch another video, and then another one. And I think, just one more. Then shall I have a game of pool? And these are all things on your phone that they're not going to help you to sleep. I think, Rachel, the music one is not a bad one, actually, because...
Yeah, but but it's not... The thing is, it's not making me sleep. So I'm on the music, and I'm like, listen to music, and I'll be 3 hours lying down but not sleeping because I'm listening to music. And then
but you still get up early, don't you?
Fantasy, yeah, but I get up. What, I get up early? Did you say?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm up like 6:30, 7 because I've got so much work to cram in, and also I've got other stuff I've got to cram in as well. But can I just quickly mention something? So I just want to mention this because I think this shows like the honesty of tonight, and especially Steve, men struggle talking about mental health, and I think it's really good that you opened up about it and to say actually how bad you were. So Dipak just mentioned and said, oh, I've lost it now. I said, it's so nice to have an open discussion about IBD and mental health, surgery or otherwise. And I think it's true, because I think sometimes it's easy to brush over stuff and go, do you know what? Yeah, I had the surgery and everything's positive. Yeah, eventually gets to that. But you have the stage in between that actually it can be quite tough, and it can be quite like, have I done the right thing? And also you're battling, it's like you're battling with yourself. I'm obsessed with snooker at the moment, yeah. Masters, I'm watching the Masters all the time. But I like watching snooker. So somebody said to me that with snooker, it's like they play each other, like they're playing themselves. And I think that's what we battle with sometimes. When we've had the surgery and we've gone through all this, we're battling ourselves. We have like the two selves. We have like the selves before and a new self, and sometimes it's hard to like find an in between one. And when I was watching snooker, I very much see that in our kind of.
I think when you have emergency surgery. No, I think when you have
my hand movement.
I
get past
we'll all do it. I think when you've had emergency surgery, I don't know whether it's something that your body and your mind just sort of accepts and goes, it's happened, I've got to get on with it. I don't know, because my first emergency surgery is what led to the PTSD and the anxiety that I have nowadays, or as my counsellor said, it's insomniac anxiety. So what my brain does is, even though my body is really, really tired, my brain just goes, and will play games until the wee hours of the morning or into the next day, and then you play catch up, and then with fatigue, that is not good. Now with my PTSD, I'll be perfectly honest, I've always refused the drugs, and the reason being for that is, in general, I'm not in denial, but I'm the sort of person that just sort of sucks it up and gets on with it. I know what I've got wrong with me. I know what my issues are, and I just try and muddle through the best I can. I've had 4 years of CBT. I still implement those methods now. Alcohol, if I'm in a really bad place, is a really bad exacerbation for my symptoms. So if I'm in a really, really bad place, so like recently, it's way after surgery, like over Christmas and stuff, I've avoided alcohol and I've not gone near it, because it's a natural depressive. It can make you worse. And I know when I'm in a really bad place mentally and I'm struggling, if I go out on a bender, it's typically when I have a PTSD attack, and then I'll spend 3 or 4 days getting over that attack. So I don't do it. So when people go, oh, why are you not having a drink? Why are you not doing this? I just say, I just choose not to. I don't say, well, that's because if I get really, really bad, you're not going to have to deal with me in a really bad attack
Yeah.
and have to spend the next 6 hours trying to get me coming round and be lucid. So I don't do it. It's the same as like with the drugs. It's the same with like the oxycodone and the everything else that causes me to hallucinate. Sometimes that can induce a PTSD attack. It did whilst I was in hospital. I had a massive one whilst I was on intensive care. I was throwing things and all sorts, apparently. It's not something that I mention on my Crohn's fighting page because it's probably not good for those that are going in for the surgery for me to turn around and say, well, guess what I did whilst I was in intensive care. So I don't talk about it. And I think the thing is, I think there are a lot of great mental health advocates out there. And I think that with me, I think because of most of mine is surgery based and because of what's happened and not because of something that I was born with and given with regards to mental health wise, I don't think I'm as good as an advocate as maybe somebody that is suffering with chronic depression or anxiety. I don't think I'm sort of good enough to stand up to the plate to talk about that. Yeah, but
you know, you could be an all-rounder, or you can specialize in certain things and things that we don't know about. We sketch upon, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, I found out as well. Now, I asked obviously I've been having sertraline, which have sorted me out. Fingers crossed. They've kept me on a level keel, even keel. But what I found is that I've developed panic attacks in supermarkets now. I don't know whether it's the lights, the crowds, the amount of products. I find if I haven't got a list, I'll walk in there and my head's pounding. I'm struggling to breathe, and yet they've said the doctor said it's nothing to do with the tablets. There's nothing in there that can cause that. So obviously, I'm doing that myself. I kind of like expect it now when I go into a big supermarket. So I'm kind of like, I didn't know what it was at first, and I was petrified. You know, I come rushing out and sat in the car for half an hour before I could drive. I was sort of really quite worried. And then, you know, all the symptoms that I was showing displayed panic attacks. I didn't really know about panic attacks, to be honest. I know people that have suffered with it, but quite debilitating. Couldn't really function at all.
That's quite normal.
I think also
it wasn't normal.
But I think it wasn't normal. But I think, Steve, also, like I said to you when you told me when it first happened, the tablets, like I think you need to, like the tablet, that is a side effect of the tablets as well.
The doctor said it was nothing to do with the tablets.
Really?
Yeah, that was I was expecting the doctor to say, yeah, that makes sense, but she was like, oh, that's weird. So obviously I've created that myself, but how, I don't know. Now, if I go in there with a list of, I don't know, 10 items that I need, I can focus on my list. I can walk down. I can get the stuff. If I don't go in with a list, I find myself walking down the dog food aisle.
But Steve, those that suffer
down the hair, you know, the shampoo aisle. I'm thinking, I'm walking down. I don't need to go down there. I'm just all over the place.
Steve, those that suffer with panic attacks or anxiety-induced panic attacks, lists are a really good way to help. Because you think of a panic attack is literally your body going, I don't know what it's doing. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. So it's like being in a crowd. It's like going out when you've been indoors recovering for 6 weeks and going out into a large group of people. You get that anxiety.
Yeah, I didn't get that with I went up the German market and it was so busy. I mean, it was really like you had to sort of shuffle through those thousands of people and didn't get that at all. And yet the supermarkets with the lighting and the amount of products on, and I just don't know what it was, but I was all over the place.
It's one of my coping mechanisms, so I don't flap. My mum says I'm anal. I'm not anal. I just have to have a list for things. So Ben got me a really good planner for this year. So it's, I don't know. So like, for instance, it's my work planner. And at the beginning of each week, I have a thing and I have a to-do list. So what I've got to do for work versus what I've got to do socially and dropping Maisie off and what Ben's work rota and things like that.
I've got
I use that.
Well.
I use that because
4 diaries.
I've got 3. But this is work one, social one, my to-do list diary. That's my to-do list diary. That's my to-do list diary. Look at all the to-do list stuff. Ah!
I just have post-it notes that I stick everywhere.
This is either a women thing or this is just our coping mechanism thing. Because Rachel, I've got 3 as well. I've got my planner. I've got my list,
my diary.
and then my diary,
and that's my diary, like of all like things, like that's just like appointments and like work, public speaking and stuff. So yeah, I've got 3 diaries.
I have 1 diary.
Steve picks purse.
And then pieces of paper that I scribble off, and then
yeah.
and then when I get to about 3 things on this piece of paper, I'll start another one with the same. So I've never actually finished crossing off a list.
Sorry, can I just say something? Paulette says that she's not been sleeping for the past years on and off due to her surgeries. And she said that she keeps having flashbacks. I think, Paulette, the best advice that I can give you is go to the doctors and see the doctor. Absolutely. Because flashbacks are typically symptoms of some PTSD-related disorder. So having the flashbacks is typical because I get them. I have night terrors, so I don't sleep great all the time. I've woken Ben up at random times over the last couple of years screaming and crying my head off because of night terrors, because I've been having the nightmare of what's happened and just sort of reliving it in my dreams. So
I also have flashbacks, but not to do with my surgery, so to do with other stuff, and I sort of deal with it my own sort of way. But going to the doctor helped. And there's, you know, sometimes they can offer counselling, CBT, and ways to cope with it. But I think people have night flashbacks, night terrors for a multitude of reasons. And sometimes they might not be at the time, but they may come like future down the line as well. Yeah. It doesn't always happen straight after the event.
Your mind's got a handy way of hiding stuff, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it does that. And then something might trigger it, and then that's it. And you may be all right for a while, and then suddenly comes up, and I find for me it's peaks and troughs. I go through stages where I have it a lot and it's on my mind a lot, and then I have nothing, and then I wake up and I have the same thing, and it's like, and it just, I sort of ride it like a wave, really, like kind of like I try and sort of like not pay too much attention to it, because when I pay too much attention to it, it seems to happen a lot more, and then I get anxious about sleeping, and then it's a knock-on effect. So I try to kind of let it sort of peaks.
I don't really get flashbacks, but when I empty my bag, sometimes I get splashbacks. Just trying to lighten the mood.
Yeah, I know.
Hang on, Lynn said that she's still waiting for CBT. I can't believe that she's still waiting. It's been nearly a year.
Lynn, I think you need to chase them up, because like chase them up. Ask them what number.
It doesn't sound like.
Sometimes we wait for the doctors, and sometimes they've got so much stuff they can't, or even the services that give the CBT is to chase them up and go, do you know what, when can I have it? I think that's that. I had to do that down here.
That's how important it is, yeah.
Lynn, if you inbox me later on tonight or tomorrow morning, I do actually have a list of all the mental health charities that run phone-ins and that can get help with regards to getting things like CBT and quickening the process. So if you message me, I can copy and paste it off of a blog post that I did where I put all the numbers at the bottom, and I can send that over to you. I can post that up on the IBD Ostomy support show tomorrow morning as well. So there's ones for men, there's ones for women, there's one for both sides of the fence, and then you've got like the ones for the younger ones as well. So for teenagers, and then those that are aged sort of between 18 and 21 as well. So I'll stick those all up. The other thing that I was going to ask Lynn, are you struggling to get to sleep, or are you struggling to stay asleep? Just the reason being is there's a thing on YouTube, I can't remember the name of the thing, but it's like a sensory thing. So it's like somebody's talking to you from a video, and they use their voice for things like a head massage or a body massage, or even things like something like a drip and tap that sort of helps you go to sleep. It's a sensory thing. So different things work for different people. So like some people, reading and having somebody read them a story at bedtime helps them drift off to sleep. Doesn't necessarily help them stay asleep, but it definitely helps them to go off. It's the same, the sensory thing. It's just different things for different people. So yeah, if you let me know. What else? I think mental health is so taboo. I mean, you've got people that self-harm, you've got the anxiety, you've got the depression, where you just feel like you're never going to get out of a hole that feel like you've dug yourself into. But is it a thing where people are actually frightened to ask for help?
Yeah, well? Can I answer this one? So for me, I have different aspects, I guess, of mental health, but I struggle using that even terminology regarding myself. So as some of you know, I don't have IBD. Mine's a rare disease. I spent a really long time of them saying it was all in my head. I was making my bladder and bowel not working, and actually it wasn't. I had this rare disease that eventually I got diagnosed, and my organs wouldn't work and my organs were failing, but I got told it was all in my head. Now, because of that, and because of how I was treated for 5 years, being questioned that you're insane, being questioned that it's not true, now I really struggle admitting I have depressed, anxiety, mental health. I cannot use those terms in regards to myself. Doesn't mean that I don't agree. I believe in mental health. But I really struggle with myself because of what happened to me then. That's impacted me. Now I know
that could really make a lot of sense, you know, as to why sometimes, right, I've told you off that you leave it too long before you go in because of that fear of not being believed. I say it makes all the sense in the world now.
And so sometimes, right, when you grow up, and you have whatever kind of like how your home life is, whatever, you have things that are built in you there, that you, when in life, the years you go down, you revert back to how you were, whatever they are, right? For me, because of that impact of 5 years of being literally fighting, I didn't have a care plan. Nobody changed my suprapubic catheter. I had to go to hospital, and they got pissed off every month. I had to tell them, because no, they wouldn't do a care plan to change my catheter. I had to fight for everything. This is why Bristol, you don't hear me talk about Bristol, because it was awful for me. It was really bad time. Yeah, when I moved to Bournemouth, it was a lot better. Now I had to fight. So for me, I struggle admitting that, I have mental health, because I always worry that I went to my appointment today and I was scared he was going to say it's in your head, but he didn't. He went, I want to how severe your organ failure is, and I'm concerned and what I can recommend next. But I still reverted back that there's nothing wrong with me, and I don't think I'm ever going to move. As much as kind of work I've done on that, it's hard to move away. When I'm septic, I go to the nurses going, you don't believe me. They closed the door this one day and swore at me. I went, for fuck's sake, Rachel, like, you nearly died. You were in resus with sepsis. We believe you. But it's because of that. That's really impacted me now. And that's why I struggle to admit. I have mental health stuff. Of course I do. I have other sides to it as well, which I haven't been very talked about, but there's other aspects of it, and I think I struggle with admitting that because of that. And it's like I am slowly talking about it more, like depression and anxiety and all of that. I am talking about it more because it's important. But I think when you've battled to be believed, it is difficult. And
it's grand.
Rachel, it's a common thing with people with an invisible illness, with something that they can't typically give you an answer for because they can't see it. The amount of times I got fobbed off, I got told I was anorexic for 2 years before they diagnosed me with Crohn's disease. And I only got diagnosed because I had a fistula. And when I went into hospital with that fistula, which was about a month before I got admitted, they told me that it was an abscess from my belly button piercing, but my belly button had been pierced for years. And they're giving me antibiotics. I'm like, well, it's not clearing up. And I went back up there and they said, oh no, and they just sent me home with antibiotics. It's just a case, it is a case of with invisible illness, because you can't see it, you do feel like you're not going to be believed.
Yeah, and I think it's like IBDs, there's a big community, there's a lot of people have it. You have a community. Now, pure autonomic failure and my disease, there isn't as much. It's not known. Doctors don't know anything about it.
Yeah, but Rachel, if I just roll back to when I was diagnosed nearly 20 years ago, there was no community.
Yeah, I know, but there is now. But we're still further behind.
If you didn't have your stomas, you wouldn't really be in these groups, would you?
No, we're only in the groups because we've got stomas.
No, not necessarily, because there's lots of people that haven't got stomas that are in the groups. What I mean is, Rachel, because she doesn't fit into the IBD side, she does fit into the stomas. And in fact, she's killing it with the stomas. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like the stomas that have enabled you to enter into this predominantly IBD world. Although
Kelly and I have talked about it in depth, because slow transit again is kind of out the outside. IBD is a horrific illness, and I know it affects so many of you, and I know it's a really but you've got really good charities like Crohn's Colitis do a lot. There are charities. There is money into kind of cures and stuff like that. There isn't anything for mine. They're starting to, slowly. But because it's so like broad, it's kind of, I think we've got we need another few years really to kind of, because it's trying to pinpoint it, and because neurological conditions are so like, it's not one thing fits each other. But that's one thing I have been happy about, the fact that is sort of, I have entered the IBD world, even though I don't have, okay, I have diversion colitis, but that's not IBD, but you know, I can look, but I've entered the IBD world because of stomas, and I've entered the community, and I felt, and I've been accepted, and that's what really I was shocked about, because before that I didn't have anywhere, didn't know where to go, because there was nothing.
Do you know, right, do you know what the statistics of people, because there's always statistics of how many people in 100 that will have IBD. Do you know what the statistics of people who will have pure autonomic failure?
It's like really low. So I know, I've looked at this.
It's something like 1 in 100,000.
Yeah, it's really quite.
It's a very rarity then, yeah. See, this is why there isn't that much money and
yeah,
everything going into it. Just because it's rare doesn't mean it's less important.
No, but I think it's like.
No, I totally get it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But it's I think the identification for me helped me get out of the victim and poor me cycle, because I felt I was on my own. I thought the world was against me, and I thought nobody would understand. Enter the stoma world / IBD world. Oh my God, you all understand and you get me. Yeah, we've got different illnesses going on, but actually a lot of it's the same. The process is the same. It kind of doesn't really, you know, it's like what I like about the stoma community is that it's a stoma community regardless of why we have a stoma. Like Linda said, she had hers due to slow transit. Like, it doesn't matter why we have a stoma. When Louise first asked me to do this show, right, my instinct to say, and I said, was I can't do it because I don't have IBD. She went, I don't bloody care, you're still doing it. I'm like, okay, we need you on here. But I felt I can't be on an IBD and ostomy sports show because I don't have IBD. But actually, I can see what I do contribute. And
you saying that though, I was actually laying in bed the other night, and obviously I've had Crohn's fighting set up now for like, it'd be 2 years this month in February that I've had it all set up. And I was actually laying in bed the other night and I was thinking, I really can't rebrand myself, because yes, I have Crohn's disease, and yes, my last stoma, especially the panproxylectomy, was because of my Crohn's. But my first 2 stomas weren't because of my Crohn's disease. My first two stomas, one was because of medical negligence and a bowel perforation via a C-section, and the other one was because of the damage that they caused when they did my resection. Even though my Crohn's was always underlying, it wasn't because of my Crohn's that I had those 2 stomas. It was because of other incidents. And I do sit there and I think, now I can't be bothered to rebrand it.
You can't rebrand it. It's like let's just say, for instance,
too much money on HostGator and website fees and God knows whatever else I pay.
If you was miraculously cured, yeah, you'd have to be known as Louise, formerly known as Crohn's fighting. Same as Rachel. Rachel would be like rocking no stomas.
Honestly, right? Can you imagine if I dropped the stoma, rocking 2 stomas? Liar. Hashtag liar.
I think we'd all get into trouble for that, don't you?
I don't think we can brand ourselves. There's like lots of advocates now that are names, and it can't be branded. And I think you can't change yourself because people know rocking 2 stomas before they know me. And I go into the hospital, they're like, oh my God, it's you. It's like they know rocking 2 stomas before they know who I am.
Some of my mates at work don't even call me Steve no more. It's madness.
They call you Baghdaddy.
Yeah. And yet at my boxing match, right? The referee couldn't even read the back of my t-shirt, the back of my vest top. He kept calling me Big Daddy. I was thinking, no, got it all wrong.
I'm reading a Linda LaPlante book at the moment, and one of the drug dealers is called Big Daddy.
So I just want to quickly say something before we go. Well, we got lots of like talking on the chat. Has anybody got any like topic ideas you want us to cover like the next couple of weeks? Like, because we have found that we have covered a lot in the last 2 year and a half.
Yeah. 2 years in April.
We need ideas and like maybe some kind of content to help, because we kind of racked our brains with topics. We'll probably have to redo the topics again, but if you can come up with anything you want us to cover, that would be great.
Shall we mention the group announcement as well?
Yeah, go on, Louise.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very, very, very sad news. Natalie and Steffi have now both pulled out of the show. In all of our eyes, they are irreplaceable, to be perfectly honest with you. They started it with us. They've seen it through to not the bitter end, but they've seen us up until now. Now it is completely understandable as to why both of them wish to no longer participate in the show. It's a lot to do with our work, illnesses, and everything else. And Natalie's not very well. Steffi's got so much on with work and her 2 little kiddies and just life in general. So it's with great sadness that they have both decided to pull out. So at some point in the future, we are going to be looking not for people to replace them, because they are irreplaceable. Without those 2, we wouldn't be where we are and doing
and
what
they will
we're
be
doing today.
missed dreadfully.
And they will be missed
definitely.
greatly, because we love them. And not the honey badger, polar bear's gone. And Nat's gone, so it is with great sadness for that. So we are looking for 2 people to do regular guest spots, but not to take over as co-hosts, because I don't.
That's how I started off. That was as a guest host.
Well, I think we reevaluate it later on and see how it goes. It's difficult because it's going to be hard to pick 2 people, or how we still need to work out how we're going to do it, whether it's a
You know, I think it's all about having guests and seeing who works really, and who, obviously it's about people, it's about knowledge, it's about, like, you girls could chat forever. Honestly, I'm convinced that any one of you girls could have done the show on your own. Seriously.
No,
seriously.
Steve is back. Right, come on, everybody, be my witness. Yeah, Steve is backtracking. So do you know what he said to me? He went, "Louise could hold the show on your own, or you couldn't, because you can't talk that much."
You absolutely could. All of you could. I would
now
just
you're
be looking
changing
at the
your
screen
mind.
I'd be looking at the screen going, "Yeah, what do you want me to do?"
Steve, without your
humour.
Oh, so I'm funny guy then.
We need. Come on, Louise and I can get really morbid and serious, yeah, and then you
go with the tone.
Have this, and then we make us laugh.
It's a good team. It's a good team, and it's a shame that it's been, the dynamics have changed. But this is life, isn't it?
Can I just say something really quickly? So Dipak is, because we're 4 minutes over, but Dipak said topic.
Right, we're a couple of minutes late.
IBD and work. These are the ideas. IBD and work, IBD and diet, IBD and relationships, IBD and exercise. Could even replace IBD with chronic disease. So we could exercise, relationship. He did say cover those, and I think it's a he. It did say, cover those in 2 years, I suppose, but it's always evolving. So we could cover them again. Since January, absolutely. Knew you exercise, Steve exercise. We maybe won't talk about the relationships one, but maybe like diet or work.
Who knows? We could talk about all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can cover something. We always magic something up, like the night 2 hours before we due to go live. So yeah, that is us for this week. Are we back next week or the week after?
The week after, isn't it?
Yeah, the week after. So we're not on next Thursday. We're on the Thursday after, because we're just doing every other Thursday at the moment, just so that we sort of start working out an even work balance and life balance. I know it's only an hour a week, but it's a lot that we do, in like research and everything else. Because what people don't realise, I think, is that like when we do this, we don't wing it. I think we've tried to on a couple of episodes and fell severely flat on our butts doing it. So we tend not to wing it no more, and tend to do stuff that we know that we can talk about and hopefully give impartial, good advice on. So yeah, we will be back a week. We will be back 2 weeks tonight, and we'll be back live at 8 o'clock. I don't know what we're going to be covering yet. No doubt I'll surprise you with that one like an hour before we're due to go live, as I always do. So I'd like to say thank you ever so much for watching. There's been a couple of new people on the group chat tonight, so hi.
Good night.
Lynn, if you message me tonight or tomorrow, I'll get that list sent over to you, and I will post that up on the IBD Ostomy Support Show page tomorrow at some point, in between my workload, because I've currently got an inundation of tax returns to do at the moment, and I've only got until the 30th to do them. So I'd like to say thank you ever so much for watching. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. Big thank you to Steve and Rach.
Thank you to you girls. Good night. Be well.
Thank you.
Bye.
Say good one.
Live long and prosper.